All right, people, welcome to a special emergency episode of the ASOS podcast. It's an emergency because, crazy stuff has happened, yet it is about soccer. So I'm going to step out of this one and be more of a host than I am as far as talking about the shit. Although I wish we had emergency podcasts for things like when Washington beats teams' asses or something. I find that to be an emergency. But okay.
We should have done that.
We'll talk about it when we do the actual pod tomorrow, all right? But right now, Twitter is blowing up with this news about Demba Ba. Am I saying his name right?
Yep.
So Demba Ba, apparently there's a video. I did watch the video of what looked like, is that Demba in the video cursing out what looked to be a referee?
Yeah, but the referee wasn't, talking to him at first, though. But continue.
But it looks as though he was standing up to one of the refs who was using particular terminology when he was referring to white players compared to black players. And Demba picked up on that, or at least some of the players picked up on that. And he confronted the ref, and then both teams walked off the field. Fill me in. What happened?
All right. So during the match, it's early on.
It's a match between
PSG
and Başakşehir. There it is.
Yeah. So UEFA decided to replay the match tomorrow, by the way. That just came out a couple minutes.
Yeah, they're replacing the entire
crew.
The entire refereeing crew.
Yep. So what happened was the fourth official called over the main ref because he wanted Pierre Weibo, I think I'm saying his name right, to be ejected from the game, right? And when the official came over there and he was describing who needs to be sent off, he was like, that black one, right?
Oh.
And then that's when everybody's like, wait. Like, Weibo came over there and was like, wait, why'd you have to call me the black one? Like, what are you doing?
Well, I think initially what he heard was the Romanian translation to black is negru, N-E-G-R-U, and that's what he heard. And he thought he
that
was
is the worst time.
Absolute perfect time.
The worst timing ever.
Out.
What the fuck?
So we're going to assume you didn't say it.
No, Ryan, your screen froze. Your screen froze right when you were saying Negro. And it sounded like you said something else. And I was like, oh no. I was like, damn, this is the end of the pod.
And that's what he heard. So he thought it was him being I guess racist, but it turns out that that's just how you say black Romanian.
Nah, did you watch what Demba Ba said to the ref and how what he said to him?
Yeah, I saw. He said something along the lines of, "Why do you have to say the black one?"
Like, if you're talking about a white player, you're not going to say the white guy. It's more so
he would say. I feel like he would say which one, the blonde one, the one with the pink hair.
Or he could say the number, or just point at him,
well, he was a coach.
He was a coach, yeah, but
the coach, which one?
So it sounds like nobody thought that the ref said what Ryan says in his spare time. It was more about the translation of just the fact. It sounds like Demba, everybody understood the translation.
Yeah.
It was just about the fact
that is exactly what he was saying.
So it's like if I'm walking down the street, it's not the guy in the orange hoodie or even the fat guy in the orange hoodie. It's the black one. And that's an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's exactly what Demba Ba was articulating to that referee. And that the cameras caught, which is amazing. It's a great moment. You guys, if you follow us on Twitter, which you should, especially if you're watching our videos, you need to look at the video that we retweeted because it was great.
And then the coach for Başakşehir, Okan Buruk, turned to the fourth referee and he's just basically said, "You're a racist." And after that, I think this happened really early on. I think it was the 14th minute or so. And then it was about 10 minutes of, discussion and anger, obviously, understandably. Yep. So especially, you don't see it as much in English soccer. You see a little bit of it in Spanish soccer, but man, if you start getting some of those Far East places, it just tends. I feel like it's just built more into.
There was an issue in Millwall like a couple days ago.
Yeah, well, they're not. They're like a fifth league side. I'm talking about like the creme de la creme. This is the Champions League. This is as big as it gets.
Yeah.
So it's shocking. And
is it shocking though?
I mean, no, I'm not shocked that there's a person who was racist. I'm assuming. I want to see more come out about this. But it's shocking what position he's in.
No.
I mean,
I'm not shocked at all.
I'm very
disappointed.
shocked.
I'm disappointed and upset, but I'm not shocked. Like this is how it's always been.
But if you're a racist, you say racist things around your friends. Mm-hmm. That's just a fact.
Yep.
And I'm assuming some of his friends are also UEFA refs. And nobody said anything. Nobody's like, "Hey, there's something wrong with this guy." That's what shocks me.
All right, think about the NASCAR driver. They got caught saying
he had never won a race in his fucking life.
It don't matter.
But this is a Champions League ref.
No. Listen to what I'm saying. Think about the NASCAR driver that got caught saying what he said, right? Mm-hmm. And the reaction of his friends that were on the call too. It wasn't, "Yo, what the fuck are you saying?" It was, "Hey, you're on live TV, bud."
Yeah.
So that shit that they say off air too.
Driver he's a really good driver.
Oh, boom. So that shit that they say outside of whatever, like, it's just the fact that they got caught. They're not sorry that like they said the shit. It's the fact that they got caught. And it's kind of the same like sense. So if you got someone that's being racist or whatever, like, it's not like they're just in their own little closet like I am here and just saying racist shit here, and then they go outside and then everything is normal. Nah, they say that shit with their friends too, and their friends condone it.
Yeah.
I'd rather you be racist in that college than jerk off in that closet like you do.
It's just.
How about I do neither?
It's just shocking because
we know that's not an option.
Sometimes the refs
and it's
move.
The option I chose.
So sometimes the fourth ref is the first ref. So you can't, especially at this high of a level, it's just disappointing. I think it's the word I'm looking.
And another thing came out was the first ref, the head ref for that game also had an issue back in 2013 with Yaya Toure when it was CSKA Moscow. And
is this the banana game?
I do not remember. There's been a couple of those, by the way. Because I remember Danny Alves in Sevilla.
Yeah, I do remember that.
But it was Yaya Toure and City, I believe. He was on City at the time in 2013. And he was complaining about the racist chants coming from the opposition. And that ref is the same ref from this one.
Yeah, they were doing the monkey chants, I remember, at that game. And did they suspend that game?
In 2013?
Yeah, they didn't.
I don't know.
I don't think they suspended the game, and then there was UEFA looked into why they didn't eject the people in the stands because, I mean, they've had the, say no to racism,
or that campaign against racism where they use monkeys.
Or not great.
I know that I'm just hosting this one. Yeah, really, but you also know the guys. I like to talk a lot. Yeah. From what my understanding or what my thoughts are hearing all this is that racism runs this large spectrum of things that can really be shown as far as racism, right? You can have racism in the sense of what I just heard about yesterday, which was like the black man entering into his own home with a Subway sandwich in his hand and gets shot in the back 3 times as he's entering the doorway because the cops thought his sub was a gun, compared to a guy from Romania or whatever the fuck saying the black one when he wouldn't say that about the white one. Like, there's varying degrees as far as racism. Some of it's light, some of it's heavy. Some of it in soccer, I think, has been more overt. The fact that you guys constantly tell me about buying and selling of people, which is just weird as shit. But I get it. Just turn it on.
No, I want to say something.
Wait, what's up?
All right, go.
regardless of the terminology aspect.
Mhm.
But you can have things like Ryan can say things like the banana game, and we don't know which one he's talking about, compared to them putting out a ad campaign to try to end racism and they're doing it all in monkeys. I think you're seeing a situation where even if it's not anywhere near the level of racism that we can compare anything else to, the fact that you have people around the world now saying, I'm not going to let the little things slide this time. That we have to fight it on all fronts. And I think that it speaks to, I know over here in the United States, just because of how fucked up we are with COVID, and that's really where our mind is right now, that the movement itself feels like it's kind of, the brakes have been pumped a bit. But it's nice to see that worldwide you have people that are like, yeah, we're not, that whole casual racism that we just say, all right, yeah, that person's stupid, and we can go on to the next day. It's like, no, we're going to address this shit right here, right now. To me, it's a beautiful fucking thing to see. Regardless if it's big or little racism, anytime that you got people standing out and stepping up for themselves, that's a big part.
I want to add something to that point, though. All right. So, well, first off, let me back up. Kadeem, either this morning or yesterday, I had a discussion with some friends out in London in regards to the situation that happened in Millwall, right? And I brought you up because I was talking about how before we were discussing like how you should get into soccer and like the things that you were saying, and then that changed my mindset forever because we were talking about the racist connotations about everything in regards to soccer, and I was like, yeah, they got like a transfer market, they're buying and selling players and shit. And then I was like, yeah, like I feel weird about it. And then they were talking about like a whole nother aspect that I had no idea in regards to like more racist shit that I had no clue.
Is there an auction block?
No, but
they don't ship players overseas in ships, do they?
Planes.
It's 21st century.
It's the newest time.
Yeah, so that part was like tough to get through. But I also wanted to add the fact that, you know, you're saying like, yeah, it's such a beautiful thing, but most of the stuff that I see in regard, if you look at all the stories from in regards to Demba Ba, Weibo, and everything that happened, you have a lot of people that are like the verified users on Twitter, the club, the players that are on our side in regards to it, right? But then you have a bunch of other people. It's like, well, you only said black. Like, black isn't bad.
And
right.
don't seem to know what side I'm on. All right, don't assume.
Shut up. I know you.
I think that goes to the deeper issue, which is it could very well be that this ref is completely ignorant to the fact that that is racist. And that is 100% a possibility. It doesn't make it not racist, but I think if you run the full gamut of racism, like racists, it's a very small minority who are like actually knowledgeably racist. And I think the rest comes from ignorance. You can see that across the board. I mean, you saw it. Was it Deshaun Jackson that was, you know, an anti-Semite by ignorance? And once he learned, he realized the error of his ways. I fully hope that this guy isn't an actual conscious racist and that this is just a habit that he's had from growing up in Romania. I don't know if you've looked at the like how many white people are in Romania versus other races, but I can almost guarantee that it's very, very white. So it could just be something that culturally is instilled in him. And maybe this is a turning point, especially because it's at such a high level in terms of this is a miscommunication, but maybe it's just something that, you know, culturally they're just not adjusted to.
If you have that viewpoint, why are you a referee in the Champions League game?
Well, they're all Romanian, right?
But I would say that there's a certain element of that ignorance. And let me defend the Romanian culture. As a small young black boy, I got to play at the Romanian embassy quite a bit growing up. Georgetown kid. Outside of that, there was an element.
That's random, but cool.
I'm talking about Romania.
I know. I said this. No, it's random that
there's a story about a Romanian model that came clean that she had a crush on me for a very long time. It's very, very good. I'll show you the story. Outside of that,
nope. You don't.
I got a lot of connections to Romania. I don't know.
You don't want to do that.
No, not now.
You don't want to end up dead.
All right, shut up. Let me get this point out. Damn it, I think I lost it. No, it's there. The aspect that Ryan's talking about is just that ignorance part, right? I think we're really, really on this story to know what comes from this. Is it a teachable moment? Is it willful ignorance? Because that same list of people you see on Twitter, most of them are willfully ignorant, which is where I run that line of, all right, maybe you're not as bad as a hardcore racist, but what you lack is empathy with your ignorance to not wanting to learn something. There's a large swath to fit into that. But then you have this other, I got my mind made up, this is what it is and this is what it isn't. But there's this other group that says, oh, I didn't realize I fucked up so bad. Let me take this opportunity to figure something out. And I think we'll see with this rough what happens. I mean, I want to see what happens with this story in the next week, 2 weeks, or what have you. If they just bring the hammer down and he's like banned from being a ref for life or anything, or something like that, I think would be a step too far. But it just depends on what he does with it now. Because I think Ryan makes a great point as far as like the Deshaun Jackson thing. A lot of times we have one way of thinking about this stuff, and it's unfair in that way. That it's a two-way street as far as ignorance and knowledge and what it is you have people that make it a teachable moment. And I think that something this small, where he's not saying the word that Ryan says is in a personal time, he's just using the Romanian word for black. Dude, it's problematic to say that black one. It's even problematic to say that white one, because you wouldn't say that white one and you would only say that black one, but you don't realize it. You just go, what's the characteristic that differentiates this person from that person? If color's the first thing you go to, maybe you need to check yourself as far as exactly what's what. Maybe.
Yeah, and I hope they don't go and find like swastikas like painted on his walls and stuff. So,
or they look back and they see that I don't know soccer terms, but like he gave red cards to black players more than he gave it to other players. Like if it was systematically something he was doing in his ref position, all right, we might have bigger issues. But I'd also say par for the course for soccer.
My point wasn't in regards to the ref itself. It was more towards
the ref itself. Damn, no
ref
class
himself. But it was more towards the comments under like the videos. Like I would see. Yeah,
we're saying that could just be willful or maybe not even willful.
It's what Kadeem said. It was ignorance with no empathy.
Right.
And they were the comments that I was seeing were people trying so hard to say, "Hey, nothing's wrong here. It's not wrong."
And you know why that is? And I know this from experience because I did this a lot before realizing the error of my ways as a youth. Is that's something that they do. So you're going to defend somebody who does the same thing you do because you want your way to be right instead of going out and learning that possibly it's not about you because you're a white person. It's about the people that you could possibly be hurting. And that it's tough to break that mentality in a lot of people. You have to be willing to want to realize, to have that empathy. And it's not about, oh, well, I do that and I'm able to tell myself that I'm not doing anything wrong. So this guy, he's definitely not doing something wrong because when I do it, it's also not wrong. And that's really, that's the toughest thing to change. It's the learning of empathy process. And until someone gets there, they're going to defend someone who acts the way they do until the end. And that's
good point, man.
I think that is a perfect way to wrap this special episode, especially considering racist white folk look to a former racist white person to tell you what to do. Makes sense. I mean, he dabbles still, just a little bit. Stick a toe in.
No, he doesn't. We don't want him to be canceled.
He sticks a toe into the Dead Sea, and it floats right back up. Wow. Multitudes. I'm smart. All right, people. Emergency episode of ASOS. We'll record and have a regular episode up at our regularly scheduled time, most likely Thursday, if this computer doesn't fucking kirk out on me. But, all right.
And the Ravens about to play.
Oh, yeah, Ravens game. Cool. So, yeah.
And congrats on the Steelers. Go ahead and gloat.
Nah, I'll save that for the episode.
You can gloat now and later.
There's going to be so much gloating.
But I will say that there is something that has to be said before we end anything, which is that the Death Star does go boom.